stayed home that night. That's the thought that keeps coming back over and over whenever I think about what happened. If I had stayed, if I had just waited until morning, none of this would have happened. But I didn't. I was tired, careless, and desperate to get home. It was close to midnight when I found myself standing alone at the bus stop. The last train had already gone. The street was empty, and the rain had turned the pavement into a black river under the flickering streetlight. I had been working late, too late, and I didn't want to waste money on a taxi. So I waited, telling myself a bus would come, even though I knew the schedule by heart. No buses ran after 11. Still I waited, and then I saw it, a pair of headlights cutting through the rain. At first I thought I was imagining it, but sure enough, a bus rolled slowly toward me. Old, heavy, its paint faded, its windows fogged up from the inside. The digital sign above the windshield flickered so badly I couldn't read the route. But it stopped in front of me, and the doors creaked open with a hiss. I hesitated. Something about it felt wrong. But the rain was soaking through my jacket, and the thought of walking home in the storm made me climb the steps without thinking twice. The driver didn't look at me. He was just a shape behind the glass partition. His cap pulled low, hands pale on the wheel. "How much?" I asked, digging into my pocket for change. He didn't answer. Just tilted his head slightly, as if to acknowledge me. The fare machine was dark, the slot for coins taped over. "Free then." I muttered a thank you and walked down the aisle. That's when I realized every seat but one was already taken. The passengers sat in perfect stillness. Rows of them, facing forward, their faces pale in the dim yellow light. No one spoke. No one moved. I felt their eyes follow me as I walked, but when I looked directly at them, they stared blankly ahead, as though they hadn't noticed me at all. I slipped into the empty seat halfway down the bus. The cushion was damp, as though someone had just been sitting there. I wiped it quickly with my sleeve and settled in, trying to convince myself I was imagining the strangeness of it all. The bus lurched forward, and the city lights blurred past the fogged windows. I told myself it was fine. Just a late bus. Just tired passengers. Nothing strange. But the silence was unbearable. Not a cough, not a shuffle of feet, not a whisper. Just the deep rumble of the engine and the hiss of tires on wet pavement. Pulled out my phone. No signal. Course. I sighed and leaned back, watching the rain trickle down the window. That's when I noticed the woman across the aisle. She was staring at me. Unlike the others, her eyes were sharp, fixed on mine. Her lips moved soundlessly, forming words I couldn't hear. I frowned and mouthed back, "What?" Her eyes darted nervously to the front of the bus, then back to me. And this time I saw it. She was whispering one word over and over. "Don't." My chest tightened. "Don't what?" Before I could ask, the bus screeched to a halt. The doors opened with a hiss, but there was no stop outside, just a stretch of empty road lined with trees. One of the passengers stood up, an old man in a brown coat. His movements were stiff, unnatural, like a puppet being pulled by strings. He shuffled down the aisle and stepped off the bus. I leaned toward the window, expecting to see him walk down the road. But the second he crossed the threshold, he was gone. Not walked away. Not disappeared into the trees. Like the night had swallowed him whole. The doors shut. The bus rumbled forward. My skin crawled. I looked around, but none of the passengers reacted. They sat as still as before, eyes empty, faces pale. I wanted to leave, to pull the cord, demand the driver stop and get out. But the woman across the aisle was staring again, shaking her head violently. Her lips formed another word this time. "Wait." I sank back into my seat, my heart pounding. The bus drove on, deeper into roads I didn't recognize. The city gave way to winding country lanes, fields stretching endlessly into the dark. I knew these routes. I had grown up here. But the roads we took that night didn't exist on any map. Another stop. Another passenger rose stiffly, stepped off, vanished. Again and again, at every stop, more disappeared. A young man in a hoodie. A mother holding a child who never blinked. A businessman clutching a briefcase. Each one gone the moment their feet touched the road. The bus grew emptier. The silence grew heavier. I tried to convince myself I was dreaming, that I had fallen asleep at the stop and none of this was real. But the cold of the window, the damp seat beneath me, the pounding of my own heart, too sharp, too vivid for a dream. The woman leaned closer across the aisle. This time I heard her, faint and hoarse. "You don't belong here." I stared at her, my voice catching in my throat. "What do you mean?" Her eyes darted to the driver. "Don't speak. Don't get off. Not until the end." My mouth went dry. "The end of what?" She didn't answer. She just leaned back, her face pale, her hands clutching the seat so tightly her knuckles turned white. I didn't know what to do. More stops, more vanishings. Until at last it was just me, the woman, and a man at the very back whose face I hadn't seen. The bus slowed again. The man at the back stood. His head hung low, his steps dragging. He passed me without looking, without a sound. When he reached the doors, he paused, as if listening. Then he turned his head just enough for me to see his face. It was my face. Not similar. Not a trick of the light. My face. My eyes. My mouth. My expression twisted into something hollow and dead. I gasped, stumbling back into my seat. The other me gave a faint smile. Then he stepped off the bus. And vanished. I couldn't breathe. My chest tightened as if invisible hands were crushing me. The woman grabbed my wrist. Her skin was ice cold. "Don't follow," she hissed. "Do you hear me? Don't follow." The bus lurched forward again, faster now. The trees outside a blur of black. The lights flickered. The air grew colder. My breath came in white clouds. I turned to the driver. "Stop. I want to get off." He didn't move. Didn't turn. Just kept driving, hands rigid on the wheel. "Please," I shouted, standing now. "Let me out." The woman yanked me down. "If you get off now, you won't come back. None of them do. You weren't meant to be here. You still have a choice. But only if you stay." My head spun. None of it made sense. But some instinct, deep and primal, told me she was right. The bus roared on faster, the engine growling like a living thing. The windows shook, the lights buzzed and dimmed. And then suddenly it slowed. Ahead in the distance I saw lights. Familiar lights. Bus stop. My bus stop. The bus screeched to a halt. The doors hissed open. The woman's grip on my wrist tightened. "This is your stop. Oh, don't look back." I hesitated. "What about you?" Her eyes were filled with sorrow. "I can't leave. Not anymore." "But you can." The cold air rushed in through the open doors. I stumbled to my feet, my legs heavy, my chest tight. I walked down the aisle, heart hammering, every instinct screaming at me to run. As I stepped off the bus, I glanced back one last time. The passengers were gone. The seats empty. Only the driver remained. His face still hidden in shadow. And the woman sitting in her seat, watching me with sad, hollow eyes. The doors closed. The bus pulled away, fading into the night until it was gone, as if it had never been there. I stood alone at the bus stop, the rain falling softly now, the streetlight buzzing overhead. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Signal restored. The time 12:07. I should have felt relief. I should have gone home and forgotten. But I can't. Because sometimes late at night, when the streets are empty and the rain begins to fall, I hear it. The hiss of brakes. The creak of doors. And I know the night bus is waiting for me again.